everybody. Thank you for joining this session that is regarding studying in Warwick University for this September 2020. So the people joining us will be mainly offer holders. Thank you for joining today. And thank you also, Lorna. We have Lorna Morris, who is a student recruitment regional manager from the University of Warwick, and she will be leading our presentation today. If you have any doubts, you can use the chat box. Lorna will decide how to do this, but we usually do it at the end of the session. So thank you, Lorna, and if you want to start now, that would be very good.
Great, thank you so much. Hi everyone. It's good evening for me, as it's 7 o'clock in the evening UK time. But thank you so much for what's going on? Thank you so much for letting me do this webinar for you today. I hope that it will be useful for you and answer some of the questions or concerns that you might have. If anyone does want to use the question box to chat, I'm really happy to look at those at the end of the session. But yeah, I'll do the presentation and then we'll see what outstanding questions we've got at the end of it. Right. So first off, so my name is Lorna. I'm one of the student recruitment team here at the University of Warwick, and I'm responsible for the Americas and Europe. So quite busy in both of those areas at the moment, and I'm really pleased to be here this evening. So first of all, I wanted to say congratulations to you. So in order to have an offer from the University of Warwick, you've done really, really well. For being such a competitive university and one of the top universities in the world, it's a really big deal for you to have an offer from us. So we do only take the best. So you should really be patting yourself on the back for being able to achieve getting an offer from us. And we very much look forward to seeing you if you do decide to come and study with us. So I'm not going to touch too much on rankings today, because hopefully when you did your research, you already know quite a lot about the university, and that's why you decided to apply for us. But just in terms of our employability, we have really good employability reputations across the UK and also around the world as well. So one of the benefits is a degree from Warwick would be that, you know, a lot of the big international employers are very aware of our university, and they're more than happy to learn more about you once they know that you've got a degree from Warwick. So it really does stand you in good stead when you're going out to get your jobs at the end of it. So I hope that you have done a bit of research about Warwick, but just to remind you, in case you've applied to 2 or 3 different universities, we are a campus university and we're located right in the centre of the UK. We're a really international university, so we have over at least 140, close to 150 nationalities that are represented on our campus, not just from the diversity of the student population that we have, but also in our staff, our researchers, the academics that you'll be learning from. So you're really getting this international overview of other students talking to you about their experiences and their different outlooks in different academic fields, but also learning about the different research that goes on in different countries as well. We're a medium to large institution, so we have about 27,000 students on our campus at any one time, and we have really good links around the UK, being right in the centre. So it's very easy to get down to London, it's very easy to get across to the 2nd largest city in the UK as well, which is Birmingham. That's a really good city, that's where I'm from, so very positive about Birmingham. And we've got a really big mixture of different departments that come under 3 faculties. So that is science, engineering and medicine, arts and humanities, and our social sciences as well. And then for doctoral students, we've got a lot of different specific research institutions as well. Now, I promise I'm not going to talk the whole time about coronavirus, but I'm sure it's on everyone's minds at the moment, being a pandemic. So I just thought I will go over what the university is doing in terms of its response to coronavirus, how we're faring in the UK at the moment, and where you can find out more information. So I've put our website on the top there, so it's just Warwick/coronavirus, and you'll find an awful lot of information on there about staying safe on campus. So the university did very well at switching pretty much everything to online learning very quickly once lockdown started in March, and now there is a very large task force involved in setting up the return to campus, making sure everything's going to be safe, whether it's one-way systems in some of the buildings, plenty of hand sanitizers. They're talking about possibly having some temperature checks here and there in the university, and what sort of PPE they can provide for students whilst making it in a safe place. So you can find all of this different health advice and guidance on our website that answers pretty much any question that you can think of about coronavirus, whether you're a student that's already studying at Warwick or returning, or a new student that's hoping to come to Warwick this year. So there's a lot of different advice and information. We've just had a really big announcement from our Prime Minister this evening to say that they're going to reduce the social distancing level. So it was previously at 2 meters, and now they've just reduced it to 1 meter, which makes a really big difference in terms for our preparation for campus, because obviously that means that it's a lot easier to do seminars at a safe distance with 1.5 meters than it is at 2 meters. So that means that, a lot more of our face-to-face teaching will be available to happen. We really want to make our degrees, obviously staying in line with government guidance, but we want it to be as face-to-face as possible, because that is the side that we really pride ourselves in, that interaction and getting to know your tutors. So that's really good that that we'll be able to do that. Obviously, if you can't come at the start, then you'll be able to start a little bit later. We'll be extending our latest start date for all students so that you can come in sort of November or possibly a little bit later in certain situations as well. So we're doing our best to accommodate our international students to make sure that you can get here as safely as possible. And of course, anything that you can't come to in person will be available fully online for you as well. And as our distance learning MBA is one of the top distance learning MBAs in the world, we have really good technology in order to make sure that our online teaching and facilities are there for you later. So we can talk about more coronavirus later if you've got more questions about it, but I'm going to go on to typically what campus looks like and what university will be like as well. So the benefit of a campus university is that everything is close by, it's very walkable, and it really is like a community that you'll be studying at. So with our 27,000 students plus about 6,000 staff that we have, that's like a small town that you'll be living on, and we have lots of different facilities there for you as well, whether it's a doctor's surgery, a cinema, a swimming pool, bank, supermarket. We even have a nightclub and restaurants. So there's lots of different things for you to do and enjoy during your time on campus. And it also, in my personal opinion, I'm very biased, I like campus universities. It gives you that opportunity to bump into your friends much more frequently and really feel part of the university because of all of the different clubs and societies and opportunities that are going around on campus. Our campus is what we call an open campus. It's quite different to, say, Mexico. It doesn't have gates and borders. It's a completely open campus. Anyone can wander on. And it's a very safe campus as well. We do have security around, but it's very much a minimal presence. Normally, if you've locked yourself out of your bedroom, or if an ambulance needs to come in, they can raise whatever barriers. But it's a very open campus where, and we also have an arts centre on our campus, and that attracts a lot of people from the local area as well. I'll talk about that a little bit later. It's a very green campus, and what I've got here is just a little video, if it will play. no sound, but it just shows you what some of our campus looks like. Yes, that's playing for you, isn't it? So you can see what some of our campus looks like. You can see it's very green. There are a lot of different spaces around for you to go and have a look at. So if you want to get away from the hustle and bustle of campus, or if you want to be in the hustle and bustle, there's both there for you. We're quite what we say a plate glass university, so our buildings don't look like Hogwarts. They're more modern in their approach, and you know, glass rented and state-of-the-art buildings as well. Everything is very walkable. If you look around the campus, then even though it might look large from the aerial photographs, what you're actually walking is no more than 10 or 15 minutes around the campus to get to all of those buildings. And here's a slightly better map for you to be able to see once it comes on for you. Bit of a delay between there we go, your view and my view. So here you can see what we call our central campus and how close a lot of these buildings are within walking distance. So you can see that there are lakes very, very close by in the green areas, and accommodation kind of encircles our central campus. So even if you're looking from one end to the other, you're not looking at more of a 10 or 15-minute walk. The library is at the very heart of our campus. So if you're in the social sciences building where there's law and politics, for example, you're literally next door to the library, as you are with humanities engineering. So it's very, very easy for you to get around and have a look and access everything that you need. Like I say, we've got our art centre and our sports centre on campus, as well as hotels and conference facilities and accommodation for students as well. I've already mentioned that how much I like a campus university, and I've just given a few examples here as to why you might benefit from it. I think I've touched on some of the community so far, but I really do think that is one of the key parts of a campus university, where everyone is living very closely together, so they can really make the most of a lot of the different clubs and societies. From what I see quite often in Mexico and other countries, is that students might stay in the city that they live in, but have to commute for long distances to get across to their university. So that might take you know, several hours every day, and therefore that eats into a lot of your time. Whereas when you live on campus, then everything is close by, so you can pop home for lunch, you can come back, you can go to the sports centre, you can do your club activity, you can go to the library, all very easily within that one area. And most students in the UK actually go to different countries, to different cities in the UK to go to university. So everyone is in a very similar environment, but this is a new city for them, they're getting used to it. And that's, you know, a lot of the fun of going to university. Everyone's in the same situation and is looking forward to exploring around the area. Also a benefit of campus is that you can, obviously there's a lot of different clubs and societies for you to be involved in, but it is a very, you know, central place for learning. So you can really get involved and, you know, join study groups with people. You can speak to different networks and academics and all of that sort of thing. And so it's really easy to find those sort of academic groups, so you can make the most of your time there. I've just put an example of what some of our students like about the campus, and very much the community feel seems to come through very well. You'll see the picture on the side there is just some of our student cultural societies that take place, and that building is inside our students' union, which is designed by students for students, with lots of different social activities going on in there. And that's where our nightclub is, it's where many of our pubs and restaurants and food shops are as well, including our banks and our pharmacies. So it really is a central hub to what will be your student life during your time at university. So because Warwick is such an international university, we also make sure that we want to support our students as much as possible. So there's an awful lot of things in place to help you feel as at home as possible for your time at university. So we know we've been doing this for a long time now. We welcome in at least 8,000 or 9,000 international students every year. So we know very much what the questions are and what the problems are. And, we work very well to make sure that we can make your transition to the UK and university as straightforward as possible. So we give an induction for many students. So the Welcome to Warwick programme, that is going to be a week-long activity where you get to join in and sign up to lots of different groups. I'll talk about it in a bit more detail a little bit later. But there's a lot of support anywhere on campus. So if you live in one of the halls of residence that we have on campus, there will be a member of staff who lives in with you, who acts as like the block mom or dad, I suppose. So you can use them to ask questions. If they don't know the answer, they certainly know the best person who you need to go and talk to in order to solve your problem. We also have Dean of Students Office that look out exactly for our students. We have the chaplaincy, we have the international office. You'll also have personal tutors within your department. And all of these people are designed here to help you make the most out of your studies. I do know that when you start coming to university and the first week when you're getting told all of this different information can be so overwhelming, and you might well forget that we have the counselling service on campus, or you might forget that you've got the Dean of Students Office or something. But all you ever need to do is just ask for help from anyone, and they'll be able to point you in the right direction of where you can get the answer to your questions. So it's a really supportive environment. We know that you're making a big commitment to come and study with us, so we want to make sure that you've got the best experience that you possibly can on campus. So I've already touched a little bit on the security of campus already, but you'll see that actually Warwick is a very safe place to live in terms of crime levels in the UK, and that we have the campus security available 24/7. Like I said, they're mostly there for checking the fire alarms or helping students who've got locked out of their rooms. But if there are any emergencies, they're all first aid trained, and it's very easy for them to get anywhere on campus very quickly. So that's a nice supportive thing to have for our students. So another benefit of campus that I talked about earlier is some of the community and the intellectual networks. And we have an awful lot of different spaces available for international students, particularly if you're a postgraduate student. We have some really specialised learning spaces for you where you can get away and either do some smaller group research areas or some quiet study or relaxation. So we have lots of different learning spaces, and we also have a lot of different communities where you can get involved. So particularly if you're looking at doing a research degree or just want to meet other people socially or exchange your research ideas and get to know more of the intellectual opportunities that we have here on campus, what I've put here are just some examples of the activities that we have in a department called our graduate school, which is there to look specifically after our postgraduate students. So you'll see there's some quizzes. You can just come for a cup of coffee and chat about research and find out what's going on and network with other people. So there's an awful lot of different things that you can do to help you, as well as hints and tips, because obviously learning in the UK will be a different experience to what you're used to in Mexico. So if you're not sure about what we ask for in essay writings or how to research and critical thinking, you'll be able to get hints and tips on the best ways that you can approach that. So another benefit of living on campus, I would say, is a lot of the different student clubs and societies that you can do at university. So on your screens here, you'll just be able to see a couple of examples of some of the different student societies that we have here at the University of Warwick. So it doesn't really matter whatever subject that you're studying, you'll most likely find there's an academic study and society that you can join with in order to meet other students that you might not necessarily meet on your course. They might be PhD students, they might be some undergraduate students, but it just increases your network of people and gives you other experiences and extracurricular activities that you can think about. We also have a number of other societies, so whether it will be sports clubs or student societies, there's an awful lot of those sorts of things for you. So this is our brand new sports centre that we have at the university, and we're really proud of it. And there's a number of the different examples of societies and clubs that we have available for you to do in your spare time as well. I would say that, you know, a lot of students do say this is one of the best things that you can do from your time at university, because it really increases your social network. You get to meet a lot of people outside of your accommodation and your course, and it just helps you to improve your experiences and meet lots more people from around the world. We are very proud of our sports centre, so I've just popped a few photos in here for you so you can see some of the facilities that we do have. So we've got a great big gym and swimming pool and lots of outdoor study spaces as well that you can go and look at. And another thing that we're really proud to have on our campus is our Warwick Arts Centre, which I've mentioned previously, but it's just a central arts hub for the whole of the region, really. So inside we've got a great big auditorium where we have comedians and we have orchestras and we have pop groups coming in. We also have an art gallery, we have a theatre, we have a cinema, all on our campus, which is something that very few universities can boast of. And it attracts not just our students, but the wider area of people as well. So we do get some really quite good comedians coming onto campus that you can go and see, that's right on your doorstep. Apart from some alumni, one of our more famous people that we have is actually, we have a campus cat. So his name is Rolf, and he's sort of an adopted cat, and he even has his own Twitter feed. So if you're interested, you can go and follow Rolf on Twitter, and he has a little GPS tag on his collar that tracks where he goes around campus every day, so you can keep an eye on him. He really likes going into the economics department, and he's quite often seen sitting on some seats in some of the different academics buildings and offices and things like that. Some of them feed him, so he's quite a celebrity around campus as well. So obviously you'll be coming to a different country, so you'll need somewhere to live. So what we have on campus is we have a mixture of accommodation on campus and also in the local area as well. So because the University of Warwick is a campus, it means that we're not in the heart of a city like some of the universities might be. There are definite pros and cons of both of them. I'm very much more of a campus person, as hopefully you found out. But our city centre of Coventry is only 3 miles away, so that's 15 minutes on a bus. It's nothing like the traffic in Mexico, don't worry about that. But with your accommodation options, you do have a choice of whether you want to try and get accommodation on campus, or you should rather get some off campus if you want to live in the city centre of Coventry and come in every day. Like I've said, it's really not a long bus journey, it's very easy to do. There are other accommodations that are very close to campus but not on it, you know, no more than less than a kilometre away from campus, so it's a very, very short walk. And it's always a nice mixture of different students that you'll get to meet from all around the world, different courses and everything that you can talk about. So we do split it up between undergraduate and postgraduates, just so that people have more things in common to talk about. But if you do want to live on campus, what we do is we ask you a questionnaire about what you prefer, you know, in terms of hobbies, in terms of are you someone who's quite quiet, or do you prefer to be in somewhere more sociable? And we will really read all of that information, find out what you like doing in your spare time, and allocate you in a hall with people that share similar interests to yourself. So the application form for accommodation is now open, so you can go onto our accommodation website and have a look at the different types of accommodation that you can choose, and start making the application form and deciding where you might think you want to live. You do need to make about 5 or 6 choices in accommodation, and they should be a mixture of ones that either have their ensuite bathroom opportunities or a shared bathroom, which are obviously a little bit cheaper in the rent costs as well. And we also have some partnership university accommodation, which is in the city centre that I've already mentioned about. There are different lengths of let for accommodation, so some of them might be more for undergraduate students, perhaps 30 or 40 weeks out of the year, but most postgraduate accommodation is for the longer let lengths of, say, 50 weeks, because you are studying for the full 12 months of your course. And you'll see that most of them are single study bedrooms. So you have a room entirely to yourself. It's not like shared accommodation dorms or rooms like it is in, say, the United States. You have your own private study bedroom where you have a desk and a bed and a wardrobe. If it's en suite, you've got a bathroom as well. And you would live in a shared kitchen normally, although we do have some studio flats available as well for students that want a completely isolated, condensed accommodation. But to be honest, you know, halls of residence where you share a kitchen with maybe 8 or 12 other people is one of the best ways that you'll make really good friends and have your experiences and be able to cook together and learn more about each other. These are just a couple of pictures of some of the modern living that we have in Coventry. So you'll see that some of our accommodation has outdoor spaces where you can go and sit and enjoy what sunshine we have in the UK. Again, some of them are study bedrooms, some of them are studio flats. So there's an awful lot of different opportunities for you to choose from when you're starting to think about your accommodation options. But at the moment, the accommodation application is open and it will close on the 31st of July. It doesn't matter whether you apply now or on the 31st of July. We don't start looking at the applications until after that deadline. So you don't need to worry that it's a first come, first served. It's not. We will wait until the end. So you've got plenty of time to have a look at the different types of accommodation and decide which ones suit your pocket and suit your own personal style, and make sure you've made the right choice for your living opportunities as well. So another benefit of the University of Warwick is that the cost of living is much cheaper than perhaps if you were living in London. I'd say it's at least probably a third cheaper than it is living in London. So our rental accommodations are much less. And also, if you were living on campus, then you wouldn't have very much public transport costs that you need to be involved in. If you do live off campus, then you're only looking at a couple of £100 for the whole year. So that's very easy to have unlimited access all around. If you need books and materials, there will be some charges, but it's not extortionate. It's not as much as, say, you know, the United States again, and you can pick up warm clothing very cheaply from a number of different supermarkets that live very close to campus, so you don't need to worry about bringing an awful lot of warm clothes. You can buy them very cheaply over here. So about the costs, on average, you're looking at between £1,000 and £1,200 per month for living. You can do it cheaper, you can do it more expensive, but as a very rough average, I would say it's between that amount that you'd be looking at. I'm just going to touch on funding opportunities for you as well. Now, I know that Innova can give you lots of help with this and talk to you about all of the different opportunities that you've got with funding, but we do partner with a number of funding bodies that we have in Mexico and elsewhere around Latin America as well. So we offer certain discounts off your tuition fees. If you say get Con a Seat, you might get a 30 or 50% tuition fee discount, and the same with the other ones as well. And you can use different funding to build up the cost of your tuition fees if you like, but if you apply for both FIDER and Con a Seat, you would only get the proportion off your tuition fees from the highest amount. So you wouldn't get 20% from one and 30% from the other. It would just be a total of 30% discount. But we are quite proud of those agreements that we have in terms of helping students to be able to afford coming to study with us. So please do have a look on their websites and have a look for the different calls that are coming out in order to help you fund your studies as much as possible. So in response to COVID, so I've done very well at avoiding it for most of the presentation, but in terms for our welcome situation for students and what you can do throughout your time to start feeling at home, is that we are still running a welcome week for students, and it's designed that it will be digital first so that everyone can make the best use of it. But for when you can come onto campus, there will be in-person opportunities as well. What we don't know for sure yet from the government, but I think what's likely to be is that in accommodation blocks you're likely to form a social bubble. So you can do things together with other people that share your kitchen, and that will be like your household that you can live in. So we're setting up some different events that you can do with those. And as I say, as restrictions start to ease more and more in the UK, hopefully, you know, it's constantly changing, but you know, we'll be able to make it as beneficial as possible for all of our students. We have thousands of different programs that you can sign up for during this week. So some of them might be academic inductions, where you can learn about the course and how it will happen, how the structure of the teaching will be involved, how to do your research in the library, whether it's online or being able to go in person, as well as networking opportunities, the ways to learn about all of the different societies and opportunities for you to take part in at the university. So all of these opportunities will be available in Welcome Week, as well as the more administrative aspects, I suppose, of getting your student card, paying your tuition fees, registering with a doctor, if you need to register with the police as part of your student visa. All of these sessions will be available for you in that first week, so that you don't need to worry about all of that extra things. You know, we make sure that you can process all of that within your first couple of weeks, so that then you can just start concentrating on your studies and having a really nice time at university. I've mentioned that we are a really international university, and I've just put a couple of comments on here of what some of our own students have thought about what they prefer or what they found most enjoyable about their time at Warwick. So you know, a lot of people really like the community vibe that you get, or the fact that we have the green spaces on campus where you can start to get away from it all. You know, it's very easy, you know, to go for a walk in a lunch break and just suddenly you'll be in the trees and the lakes and everything and see the ducks. So it's just quite a nice opportunity when you're so busy with university campus and all of your studies, just to have that opportunity to get out of the hustle and bustle and just have some time for yourself to reflect and think about anything that you need to think about. So other people there have mentioned how multicultural it is. What else have they said? Yeah, different skills that will help them stand out a little bit more. And I think the critical thinking, you know, as I've mentioned before, it is going to be a different way of teaching. They are going to want you to input into the discussions that they'll have at university. They want to make sure that you've done the reading, and they want to make sure that you can critique and question and build up your confidence in those areas, so that you can apply what you're learning and, you know, think about reasoned arguments. So that, you know, that's one of the best things about Warwick, in how we teach like that. And I think that is a really important thing for students, and what again stands you in quite good stead when you're looking for employment opportunities at the end. So that's the end of my presentation. I've gone, but I've deliberately kept it quite short so that we've got some time for any questions that you might have. And if there's anything specific that you'd like to know that I haven't covered in this presentation, whether it's in relation to coronavirus or just life at the university or anything that you might want to ask, I'll open this floor up. So perhaps if you want to type your questions in the chat box, and I'll be able to answer any questions that you might have. So I'll just leave it a couple of minutes while you can think about any questions that you've got, and I'll do my very, very best to answer those for you. But thank you so much for taking the time to listen. If you haven't managed to come for all of the session, we are recording it today. So you'll be able to go back and watch it another time for you. Hello everyone, thank you very much. Oh, that's lovely. But yes, if there's anything that I haven't covered, oh yes, someone's got a question. Yes, how can I help you? I'll just wait for them to type their questions. Yeah, I was mentioned earlier about the support that you get and your personal tutors, and I think again that's a really important area within the university, where you really get to know the academics, and they want to meet you. They want you to have the best opportunity that you can. So they want to you know, meet you, and they'll have sign-up times on their door every week when you can go and book an appointment. So if there's something that you don't quite understand in your lectures, then they're more than happy. They can read over drafts of any essays that you're writing and help you in order to, you know, make the most and get the most out of your studies. Right, so we've had a couple of questions come through. Is there any guidance on the UK 14-day self-isolation upon arrival? We're still waiting to see whether that's going to be, you know, the case. I think there's still discussions that are happening, and obviously as the pandemic changes, you know, all of the time, then we're still learning as we go. But of course, there will be accommodation available for all students. So whether you look to come, you know, if it is going to be 14 days before the start of term, there will be accommodation available for you, so that you can isolate before then, and then move into your halls ready for the start of term. Or, you know, obviously, if you arrive a little bit later into term, then we can still set up any isolation that's needed that the government decides upon, and make sure that you're fully supported with that throughout your studies. So we've got someone saying, if someone got COVID, what would happen with kind of medical support that we have? So we've got a medical centre actually on campus, and actually when lockdown happened in March, we still had quite a lot of students that didn't end up going home, and even into May we still had about 1,000 students living on campus. So again, that the benefit of being a campus, because we are one big institution, everything is in one place, so it means that we're a lot more joined up with all of the different services to be able to react quickly and sort anything out. But obviously we'll make sure that we've got any isolation rooms that are needed or anything, and we've got doctor surgeries on campus. All students would be supported fully if anything like that happened. But you know, we are taking an awful lot of steps on campus to make sure that we're going to make this as you know, safe and secure in terms of PPE, in terms of hand sanitisation, in terms of one-way systems, whether it's temperature monitoring checks, and all of these sorts of things. Then we've got lots of supports there in place, you know, so we're confident that we're sticking to government advice and being able to react as quickly as possible for any situations that might arrive like that. And I'll just go back to one of my earlier slides. Again, I can send you some links around further on, but this is a bit of a screenshot from one of our websites, and I've put the web address there for you. So from this website you can pretty much find out the answer to many different students' questions, whether it's related to the application process in your course, for students that are already studying, and for students that are thinking of coming. So what will happen, sorry, got another question. What happens with his or her health in the case with his or her studies if it's stopped? Well, I mean, that would be an individual case, and we do have cases like that, you know, where students have, you know, can have anything that happens to be wrong with them throughout the year, you know, and different situations and opportunities would be sorted out in order to support the students. So, you know, if you did happen to miss a module because you were poorly, then you know, you'd be able to follow up on that another time and have opportunities to make sure that you finish your degree. You know, this is a pandemic, we're all learning as much as we can, but you know, we have had students in the past that have had different health opportunities, and we always different health issues, sorry, and we always manage to support those students and make sure that, you know, they can carry on as much as they can with their studies, and whether they need a little study break or come back to it, there's all of those different support opportunities for our students in place there. Right, we have another question. I have a conditional offer. My question is whether the university offers the policy of postponing entry until next year with this type of offer. With those, it can depend on the department. So this student is asking whether, if you want to defer, if it has to be an unconditional offer, or whether you can still defer when you have conditions. It does vary from department to department. So some departments, I'm thinking of example as the Warwick Business School, they normally only defer students if you have met all of the conditions of your course. They will only then defer you. Whereas other departments might be a bit more flexible, because we have that every year where perhaps some students, they might not have met their English language requirements, or they didn't get their funding and they're going to try again next year. So they'll see if they can defer. At the moment, you can email and ask you know, the university if you can be deferred until next year. And you know, and if that's the case, then we'll process it if the department agrees to it. But yeah, it's at the moment that's the process. We don't know if that's going to change as the months go on, but at the moment it's still relatively business as usual if you are interested in deferring. But I mean, the university, if you've prepared your time to come, and you know, this year was going to be the year for you, you know, it will still be a fantastic experience for you, and you know, trailblazing the opportunities of traveling during these times with all of the discussions that will happen will still be really beneficial, and it will still be a really bustling campus with everything that's going on. Everyone's learning together as to how it will go on. But the UK at the moment is you know, definitely, you know, starting to come out of some of these struggles that we've had, and everyone is fully prepared that, you know, we've gone into lockdown once, we can do it again if it's necessary, or because, you know, there's more tracing involved, that if there's little hot spots around the UK, then it will just be targeted for certain areas wherever those new cases flare up. So, you know, all of this planning is being done not just by the university but by the government. So we're fairly confident that we're as prepared as we possibly can be, ready to welcome all of our students in. Does anybody have any other questions that I can help with? Well, I think that for unconditional offers, the CAS will be sent directly by mail by the end of this month or July. So when it comes to, so this is a question about visas and your CAS that you get. So and again, the Inova staff will be able to give you lots of help and advice when you apply for your visas. But in order to start applying for your visa, you first of all need to have met all of the conditions of your offer. So it would be, you need to have an unconditional offer. So that includes any English language and everything, unless you're trying to go on pre-sessional. and you need to have firmly accepted the university. So you need to have made your decision of, yes, this is the university I want to go to. We will then issue you with an electronic number that's called a CAS number that you need in order to start applying for your visa. Now, the CAS process can start up to 3 months before the start of your course, but if you haven't yet made your conditions yet, then you can get issued them closer to the time of the start of the course as well. And another thing that the university is doing in terms of supporting our students because of this pandemic is that previously there used to be a relatively short start time of when we could expect students to come on campus, so the latest start date for you to get here. But this year we've extended that by at least 5 weeks. So even if you meet your conditions, you know, in August or something, actually the latest start date for you to be physically on campus might be November, and for some departments it might be a little bit later than that as well. So, you know, because we're doing this blended approach for learning, if you can't get your visa ready for the start of term, you can start, you know, studying online and get to the university when you can. And obviously, if you can get to the university with the start of course, then that's great. But it will be a blended learning environment anyway for students. So it will be a mixture of lectures that will be done online and smaller group opportunities in a socially distanced room where you can have discussions with the academic and different people. So it will be a mixture of online and in person. And obviously, if you can't get to campus straight away, then there will be opportunities for you to be involved in those seminars virtually as well. Right, another question. Will accommodations be a mix of nationalities in every building? Yes. What happens is that, yeah, because we've got such a diverse range of students, it really helps, you know, improve your experiences and your friendship groups. You know, you can learn different types of cooking and everything. So it will be a mix between home students, European students, international students. So you really get to know different people. But as I've said before, we will look very closely on your personality and on what you enjoy doing. So if you really enjoy playing football, for example, there might be someone else who enjoys that too, or perhaps someone else that does another sport, but you can talk to them, or, you know, someone else likes films or reading. And we do read that, you know, little biography that you put about yourself, and spend a lot of time making sure that we're putting people with similar interests into a same kitchen, so that you've got things to talk about and different things. So, you know, it's a really nice way to get to meet different people from all over the world. But as I've said, all of the accommodation is split between whether you're studying your bachelor's degree or if you're studying for your master's degree, because you know, obviously 18-year-old students have different ideas and party habits than perhaps older students do, as a very generalization. Another question, is there any fees to apply for accommodation? No, that there are not fees to apply for accommodation at the moment. So at the moment, as I've said before, the closing deadline for application is July the 31st, and then after that they start sorting everyone out and seeing whether they can fit you on campus or whether you'd be better off going off campus. And then what happens is that you then get a week or so in order to decide whether you want to take up that offer or not. So, and, you know, obviously if you get your scholarship in August, then, you know, I'm sure that it will come and you won't have had to decide for accommodation before then normally. So there's normally support that you can get, and if there is a deadline, you can always email them and go, look, I'm waiting for a scholarship, is there any opportunity that I can you know, have an extension for this for any reason? So, you know, it's something that we could help you with. Also, would it be possible to get to know more the life science campus by images or videos? Yes, absolutely. So what we have is we have a virtual campus map, which you can look on our website, but also what we've got coming up over the next couple of weeks, so in July, we're actually having a virtual open day. Now, this is designed more for prospective students, more coming in at their bachelor's degree levels, who are looking around the campus. But what we will have there are virtual campus tours and those sorts of things. So there's nothing to stop you signing up to the open day and having a look around campus and seeing what you can. So with the life sciences department, you're right, good spot that it's not on the map that we've got. So actually with the central campus, we also have a second campus, which is called Gibbet Hill. And that is about a 10-minute walk away from the grocery store that you can see at the bottom of the screen there. It's up a little bit of a hill, so you'll get very fit walking up there. But there are also shuttle services that run every day between Central Campus and Gibbet Hill. And there's a really nice path through some woodlands to get up there. So that's where the medical school and the biological sciences and all of those sorts of buildings are. And yeah, everything is together for you there. So it's only a 10-minute walk, as I say, away from Central Campus. So it's still very, very walkable for you. But yes, if you go on the virtual campus map, that's a good way. And yes, if you are interested, then certainly with our open day, even though it's not directed at our offer holders, there's nothing to stop you going on there and signing up for a virtual campus tour to get a feeling of the university a bit more. Okay, yeah, a more trivial question about the weather. Yes, absolutely. So yes, I mean, England is a very green place, as you can see from the photos, which means that, yes, it does rain quite a lot. And it is a constant subject that we Brits love to talk about. At the moment, I was just telling the Innova staff before it happens, we're having a bit of a heat wave in the UK at the moment. So it was 27 degrees Celsius today, which is bordering on the, oh my gosh, it's too hot in terms of UK people. We start to moan when it gets higher than that. But then next week it might start raining again. You know, that's the sort of one of the interesting things about living in the UK. You never quite know what the weather's going to do. So it could start beautiful and sunny, but then it could rain by the end of the day. So, you know, the weather can change quite a lot. But that's one of the interesting things about the UK in my mind. I'd say the coldest it gets in winter, normally average temperatures probably around between 5 and 10 degrees in the heart of winter. It obviously will dip down below freezing on occasions, normally in the morning or overnight, but you can still get really warm days as well. And in summer, it can be anything between 20 and 30 degrees, but it can also nip down to 10 or 15 degrees. So, you know, we get so much different weather coming around, you never quite know what you're going to get. But some of the suggestions that our international students have said are the best clothing that you can buy for the UK is like a light wind cheater jacket, so that, you know, some of those you can get as a waterproof, but others just keep out the wind. So if you come from a warmer area, that can be quite useful for students to get. But as I've said before, there's a lot of cheap clothes and you know, and suitable shops where you can buy everything that you need to survive the UK weather, whether it's umbrellas or, you know, a waterproof cover for your backpack or something like that. But you know, you can follow the weather reports, you know, each night, and you'll normally get an idea as to what's going to happen the next day. You can get apps for your phone to, you know, check out what the weather's doing, so you know whether to bring an umbrella with you and those sorts of things. But it's all part of the exciting overseas experience. Are there any other questions that anyone has that they'd like me to answer? Just wait a couple more minutes if people want to type anything. But as I've said, this recording can be emailed out to everyone, so you can access it if you missed the start or you can't remember what I've said for any of it, that's fine. And I'll just scroll down again to the bottom screen, which also has my email address on it. So obviously Innova can help you a lot with any questions that you might have, but also me and my team are here to help you. It's our job to make sure that you have, you know, a smooth you know, transition to university, and that we've answered all of your questions and everything like that. So, you know, do feel free to contact me if you've got any questions, but obviously, you know, you can also use the lovely Innova staff to help you as well.
Thank you, Lorna. I think there are no more questions. Maybe while I'm talking, somebody will pop one in. But thanks so much for everything. Thank you for being here. And thank you, everybody, for your questions and for your interest. I know it's a difficult hour, but I'm really glad that you were here. And if you have any questions, you can also be in touch with us. Oh, here we go. We have a question now.
Would it be possible to chat in person? Yes, if what we have actually is we have live chats every day. Let me just that you can find, and we either have live chats specifically for offer holders or for inquirers, if you've got any questions that you need answering very quickly, or if there's something that you haven't found out from this presentation, then absolutely I'm more than happy to you know, answer further questions in person if any of you need it. But otherwise, yeah, you can ask Innova or anyone else to help you out as well. So we can definitely get to the end of you know, any questions that you have.
Okay, Maddie, we're going to be sending the video, okay? So you can see the presentation there. Mario asked if we were going to be sending the presentation itself, but we are going to be sending the whole video of the session. So we will do that after the session, and anything that you can be in contact with me or your study advisor, okay? So thank you again, Lorna, and thank you everybody for being here. I hope you have a great day, and remember that you can be in touch with us. And Lorna, I hope that you have a good night, because it's probably pretty late over there.
Yeah. Thanks so much again, everyone, for joining. It's been a real pleasure doing. You know, I wish I was there in person to see you all, but this is the best we can offer at the moment, and I hope you found it useful. So thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mario.
Thanks to you, Fabi. Bye bye.
Bye.